I'm here with Jane Silber, the Canonical CEO, and we're in Orlando, Florida at the Natty Narwhal UDS 11.04 cycle, the planning cycle for 11.04. Jane, as Ubuntu really becomes like the most popular Linux distribution and it scales with millions of users, and Canonical's that corporate sponsor, how does Canonical scale with that popularity and with Ubuntu hitting mainstream?
It certainly is one of our challenges, and we continue to grow. Canonical as a company is closing in on 400 people now in about 30 different countries. And our scaling, our growth is really coming across the board. So our technical teams are growing. I think you see that at events like this where there's more Canonical people on a given team, like a desktop team or the kernel team. But we also are experiencing growth in functions across the company that sometimes the community doesn't see. So as the interest from OEMs picks up, our OEM team is growing. We're adding salespeople and engineers there. We see growth in and new requirements in our marketing team, and even the back office functions that keep the company ticking over, finance and HR. And the growth really has been pretty evenly spread across the whole company.
I know earlier this year, Canonical was at the Hardware Summit. Mm-hmm. What new and exciting things came out of the Hardware Summit from the Canonical perspective?
I think the most important thing is just the sheer level of interest that we see in that hardware ecosystem. So this is ODMs and OEMs, the folks in this particular example, it was in Taipei and some from China, who are interested in building products around Ubuntu, Linux in general, and Ubuntu in particular. And the level of interest that we see there really is an important turning point, an important signal from that industry that for so long has been focused on primarily a single operating system. So we held the Ubuntu Hardware Summit. I think we had around 200 people show up for a couple days. Really hardcore engineering, learning how to build products around Ubuntu. And in addition to that public event, then we've also been holding specific one-day training events at individual ODMs who have come to us and requested additional training, additional information. And as that broad ecosystem starts to shift, I think it's a really good sign for the open source community and for Ubuntu. It's that sort of dynamic that happens in the ecosystem that is going to make it possible for anybody to buy some sort of computer, some sort of device with Ubuntu pre-installed, so that you don't have to download it and install it yourself. And that's the kind of growth that we need to continue to nurture.
I know you guys have Landscape. Can you tell me a little bit about Landscape?
So Landscape is a product that's aimed at enterprise use, corporate use. It's not really expected that individual end users would use it, although certainly they could if they wanted to. It is a systems management tool that allows you to manage deployments of hundreds or thousands of Ubuntu machines. So you wouldn't use Landscape on one or two Ubuntu servers, but you would use it if you're running 500 or 5,000 Ubuntu servers. Canonical sells Landscape as part of a subscription service called Ubuntu Advantage, which provides access to training and consulting and Landscape as this management tool. We've got the Landscape team here at UDS because while it's a different product than Ubuntu, there's very close ties, and they need to know what's happening in the Ubuntu product just as any other company that's building their business around Ubuntu does. So there's a good close tie there, and we think it's a great solution for managing Ubuntu machines, and we're seeing a lot of interest in it. And increasingly, we're adding cloud capability, which is one of the big focal points for the server and enterprise within Ubuntu.
It's exciting to see not only the Eucalyptus stuff, but the OpenStack stuff coming into play. I know there's a relationship there with Ubuntu, but is there a Rackspace Canonical relationship as well?
There's not a formal relationship, but it's This UDS event, as you know, is a broad church. We welcome a lot of participation. We welcome Rackspace involvement here. We think it's a positive thing for the ecosystem and for Ubuntu. And it's not just them. I think people are more and more realizing the nexus that Ubuntu represents. Just right before coming here, I was talking to some folks from a local ISP who've built their own cloud solution around Ubuntu. And we were talking about ways that we could collaborate.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about the Natty cycle and Canonical?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I look forward to a lot of the decisions get made this week, as you know. We're working really hard on making some proceedings and better publications of the decisions that do get made here, and publicizing that a bit more, mainly for the community, just so people know more what's coming up in the upcoming cycle. And so I look forward to those, and I hope people read those and enjoy them, and maybe find a way to contribute and help.